Hello and welcome to today's session where we're going to explore in one of the most exciting bits of technology that we've seen in the last few years, artificial intelligence, and specifically how it's reshaping the way mobile workforces operate in the field. So we're joined by three great experts from Panasonic Connect Europe today. We've got Margarita, our head of AI, who will share insights on sustainable AI adoption and its future innovation. Jan Kampfer, head of marketing, who will discuss Panasonic's strategic vision and how AI is transforming customer engagement. And John Tucker, there's the wave, head of product and service and solution center, who will dive into AI-driven features of our latest products at Toughbook and empowering how AI can empower the next-gen field performance. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's start by looking at the big picture. What's holding organizations back from adopting AI and what it can unlock for mobile teams in the field? Who'd like to sort of tackle that area first?
Let me, Dan, actually. I think that, we know the AI is certainly a buzzword, not just in the industry, across sort of many industries at the moment. And I think a big part of it is, what's the low-hanging fruit? Where can we start as an organization to sort of utilize AI? But there's loads of things to think about. Of course, you need a business and a sort of a financial justification. How would you integrate the AI maybe workflow or processes into your organization? Do you have the right in-house expertise? So there's loads and loads of things to consider. But I almost think that it's so exciting that the bigger question is, where do you start? And where can you start and make something quite meaningful? So it's just exciting time at the moment.
Definitely. Jan, I can see you smiling. Do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I'm always smiling when John talks, but yeah, I think as well, it's a fantastic time. There are a lot of apps on the market, and all of them, they claim they're AI enabled and AI empowered. But I think it's worthwhile to look really behind this, because what we see also a trend is that a lot of them is just taking LLMs on board, large language models, with a clever filter and package this as AI. That certainly not really will boost really your process on a long term. It's a nice enhancement, don't get me wrong, but that's the first thing you need to check, how much really your process flow is really impacted by that. But also in Europe is quite important to look into GDPR. Some of them, or the majority of them, of course, claim they're GDPR compliant, but when you look behind the scene, you will see maybe the hosting of your private customer data is not happening in Europe. Or maybe when it comes to automated emails, you will see they are not so strict handled as it meant by the European GDPR law. Yeah, this is my 5 cents on it.
Yeah, there'll definitely be lots of new security issues for people to face, right there. So what would be, I guess maybe this is a question for John, what would be the main competitive edge, I guess, for our users of devices, so field workers?
Yeah, I think that, potentially AI's got the ability to transform a field worker's role. Especially if you combine that with Toughbook, it's about having a platform, a reliable platform, and driving the working smarter, not harder type of thinking. If you can take away the mobile workforce manually analyzing data, filling out reports, if AI can surface insights in real time. So when we talk like things, maybe like predictive maintenance, safety risks, identifying them before they become problems. And the big thing I always sort of try and, in an IT role, and certainly for a mobile workforce, you want to allow the users to focus on their job. So you don't want the field tech to become a barrier. You want it to become their valued assistance. So if you've got huge amounts of intelligence at your fingertips, especially in harsh and remote environments, it can give you a real edge in terms of efficiency, accuracy, and speed. So really, it's got the potential to really transform our typical, what we call field workers types of job and role.
Love the idea of working smarter, not harder. Sounds like a bit of me. So if we just go back to what Jan touched upon with security, I guess, Margarita, you're probably best placed to sort of talk about what sort of issues large organizations might face when implementing AI, on a huge scale. Yeah, do you want to sort of talk about your sort of experience, what you've seen?
Yes, absolutely. So when companies struggle with AI implementations, there certainly can be many reasons, but most of the time it comes down to 5 key blockers. And the good news are that many of them are solvable with a right mindset and a dedicated structure in place. So blocker number one is for sure no clear strategy. You can't just do AI. It needs to be in line with your management goals. There need to be some dedicated KPIs in place to measure the real impact. And also, at the same time, strategies must stay flexible. So agility is key in both technology, but also when business needs change. Then the second blocker is poor data quality. So AI is only as good as the data it learns from. That's why investing in putting emphasis on data management and data governance is absolutely essential. Employee resistance is a very, very important area. So change without internal buy-in won't be successful. So upskilling here is key. Having a dedicated upskilling program in place, having a dedicated change management approach in place is absolutely significant. We have already heard from Jan also that, of course, the security related area is significant, also when it comes to compliance. So compliance and also ethics play a very, very big role in that sense. And those areas need to be included straight from the start in any kind of AI initiatives. And last but not least, one of my, I have to say, favorite areas is unrealistic expectations. So there are people who think, okay, I can now do everything with AI, and others who don't believe at this at all. And you need, of course, to address all those extremes. And in that particular context, please let me refer and bridge to the famous Amara's law, saying that we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in a short term, but underestimate it in the long run. And this is what we observe quite often. So in the end, the success with AI is not just about tech, it's about the people, it's about the structure, agility, and a long-term thinking as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. The poor data in, poor data out thing is particularly interesting at the moment. I think I heard that 25% of content on the internet was AI generated in the last year, which obviously feeds the new stream of AI. So it's very interesting, which leads us nicely onto marketing, because we love a bit of data, don't we, Jan? So what sort of issues do you predict or see now with marketing and AI?
This is a perfect segue, what you just said there. And I love this comment you're saying that a lot of content is AI created, because let me say I'm for marketing. I can make this statement. Marketing, I think, is leading in some cases the AI adoption. We're using that for AI analytics, AI prospecting, but also AI content creation is as you just mentioned, the case is, but I call it the AEO dilemma. So in the past we had search engine optimization, but now we have the AI search engines, which come more and more into the play, get more prominent. And guess what they're doing then? They sanction AI created content. They put less value on them into their search algorithm. So that puts a dilemma to the marketeer. The marketeer wants to embrace all the AI apps, but maybe not to the degree he want to do. They want to do. So basically, that's a little bit dilemma what we see. And at the moment, I still see that's holding back a little bit the adoption. And we have still a human interaction involved, but maybe it's not the worst case, that you always have a human wrap over of, or human check, human wrap over of content created.
And Dan, may I add, I fully support that, and I share this view in the sense that AI content also lacks a clear brand voice. Yeah, is often too generic, without, of course, without the missing the input. And yeah, as Jan says, so the human review is absolutely crucial in that sense. Yeah, AI supports, but does not replace marketing expertise. This is, yeah, something that everybody needs to understand.
It's exactly what we see, Margarita, isn't it? So the expertise of a marketeer is a little bit shifting. We see the shift is starting there, that you need a little bit more analytic skill, a little bit more programming skills, prompting skills, look a little bit behind, start more orchestra, your app toolbox. But certainly we are not there that AI is replacing anybody in marketing, because that what Margarita said, that human interface is still needed. Right?
Oh, it's good to know my job is safe. It reminds me a little bit of when Wikipedia first came out. There's always jokes about it having poor quality articles and things like that. And then I think eventually people have sort of learned to use it as a starting point or a tool to do a bit of research, but then digging deeper. I see it the same with AI generated content. Use it as a starting point for creating your own unique piece of content, is how I'd use it anyway. Let's focus now on what we're doing at Panasonic and our sort of role in helping customers on that AI journey, and sort of what innovations we're doing behind the scenes. So, John, you're always very innovative. What sort of stuff are you guys up to, and how are we helping other organizations?
I think it's important, Dan. I think it's more a general sort of approach. I quite often use the word of a trusted mobility partner. You know, we're talking about technology. Technology is complex. Mobility is complex, and quite often we've got users working in what we call the hypermobility space. And there's going to be bumps along the way, blockers, things that throw up challenges to your infrastructure, your mobility approach. I always think that what Panasonic does better than anybody else is stand shoulder to shoulder with our customers. So very much a partnership approach, addressing those issues as we go along. You know, we see that in the connectivity space more than ever. And I think that AI journey will bring all of those things together. So, you know, when we talk about Toughbook, of course, they're designed from the ground up to support AI in the field. And we're not just talking about durability, you know, even though that's really, really important, but about providing a stable, secure, and powerful platform that can run AI models at the edge. And that's the real value, sort of having those intelligent capabilities at the edge of your operation. As has been mentioned before, really around the in a valued way rather than like as a barrier to the user. So, you know, we talk about AI being used for predictive maintenance, automated diagnostics, smart image and video recognition, data analysis from sensors, loads and loads of potential applications. But I'd like to start really with just getting people to think that Toughbook isn't just a device, it's a sort of a foundational platform for managing AI innovation in the field, at the edge, helping businesses basically unlock the full potential of AI wherever the work takes place.
Perfect. I like the idea of us being a trusted mobility partner. I think we've always done that for years, haven't we? Worked closely on new technologies with partners, our customers.
Definitely.
So that's what we're doing for our customers. I guess, Margarita, what are we sort of doing internally and maybe in some of the other areas outside Toughbook with AI?
Yeah, so AI plays a key role for us, backed by Panasonic's long-standing expertise in the field, of course, and let me just highlight a few examples. So internally, for example, we use generative AI to support our employees in their daily work, enhancing communication, streamlining document handling, also sparkling new ideas, of course, and we offer dedicated AI tools and tailored programs to upskill our workforce. So how could that, for example, look like? So we differentiate in between 3 focus areas within our upskilling, our internal AI upskilling. One is more on a general base, so really helping people understand the tech basics, the trends, the risks, the legal side of things, and so on. The second one is the function-based training related approach, so really tailored programs for sales or for marketing, for HR, for supply chain, for customer service, and so on, really developing with those colleagues dedicated use cases. And then last but not least, the tool-focused training approach all around specific tools and so on. So that, of course, is kind of our idea to provide multiple touch points with a topic and make it, help our employees by the end, to make the best use out of it. On the product side, we apply AI in areas such as, for instance, computer vision. So in particular in manufacturing or supply chain. In manufacturing, a strong use case is, for instance, quality control, where AI-driven image analysis helps detect defects, and improve production accuracy by the end. Another example is the supply chain area, of course, where it's all about optimizing inventory management, forecasting demands more accurately, and also enhancing overall operational efficiency.
Yeah, it's interesting. Security came up again. I remember there was a big story at the start of the AI boom, I guess, where a big manufacturer uploaded a load of their sales data into ChatGPT to analyze it. So yes, it's useful. We've had all that training for you, Margarita, so we don't do anything silly like that.
It's a good example then, because Panasonic was one of the first company who introduced an internal chatbot and large language model sealed and protected. So that exactly not the case you described could happen, that sensitive data is leaking. And yeah, as I said, Panasonic is a Japanese company, so it had happened in Japan, but we were one of the first company who did that, and there was a bit of buzz in the press around this. It just shows that Panasonic really embrace AI, and it's not just words. We really try to be on the forefront of this.
And talking of partnerships and being mobility partners, I guess I'm not sure who this would go to, maybe all of you. But what about our sort of partnerships with Microsoft and Intel on the AI side? Have we been having conversations with them about how to implement things and best ways to co-pilot, stuff like that? Don't know who wants to take it.
Yeah, of course, Dan. Yeah, so I'll maybe start with that. Of course, the answer to that is yes, and they are vital sort of constituent parts of the AI solution. With our hardware, Intel platforms, particularly with the latest generation of Intel NPU processors, Microsoft Windows 11 being sort of AI built at the core of Windows 11, having all of those things together, yes. And I think it just depends, Dan, as well. Everybody's working on something maybe AI related at the moment, but there's so much going on. The breadth of possibility is sometimes endless. So back to what I said earlier on, really exciting times. There's so much happening. It's just really waiting to see what who can really knock the 10th pin over as quickly as they can, maybe, and using a bowling analogy.
So we've spoken very high level about AI, but Jan, I'm going to come to you and ask, where do we see AI being used by our users? So tough but users out on the front line. How do we make them work smarter, not harder?
Yeah, that sounds good. So basically, then what we see is two user groups. One is the secure device edge user, and the other one is more the connected cloud solution-based users. So, but for the first one to start with, there are some people who want to have the usage of the data on their device, secured, sealed, not necessarily connected to a cloud because they want to keep their data very secure, sensitive data. So you can imagine this would be MOD forces, emergency services, special services. They not want to have the connection to the cloud. And then there is also another area for this user profile, which are people which are limited with their connectivity because of their working style. There could be utility customers working in tunnels where there is simply no connection. They also need to operate on their device. And for those users, what they need basically, they need to have a performant device first of all, preferable with a high-performing NPU, where all these databases can be operated on the edge device. On top, of course, they need to have multi-tiered security, like hardware, software, firmware security, and they need to have a rugged device which keeps their data safe. The other user group, which we called the secure cloud solution-based user group, those people rely on connectivity. They want to have been the connection to the cloud. What they need is a really strong 5G recognition, a high reception, a secure data transfer, a good data transfer, and of course on top, of course, also a sealed and secured OS who keeps their data safe. Perfect value proposition for our Toughbook devices, and I guess John will deep dive into that in a second.
So with the two personas, I guess one of them needs, if they're not connected, they need that high processing power NPU, and then if they're not using the NPU, they need high quality connectivity. So they're the two different personas you see that we need to help them with, basically. So it's either really good connectivity or really good NPU.
In a nutshell, of course, also the second target group, they also need to have AI chipset. That's of course will not exclude the need of this, but in general, for the second user group, the connectivity is from equal importance, and for Toughbook, as we all are confident, we have a good sales offer to do there.
So let's get right down to the nitty gritty now. What exactly are in our Toughbook devices? What have we included? John, you're probably best placed for this. What sort of specific features and things have we got in our devices?
That's a good point, Dan. We've got current product, namely the 40 Mark II and the G2 Mark III are built with the latest Intel Core, what they call ultra processors, which includes this, we talked about it earlier on, includes a built-in neural processing unit or NPU. And that's quite a big deal. It means these devices can handle AI tasks like image recognition, facial login, voice commands right on the device without having the need to rely on a cloud or connectivity. So when we talk about maybe a field engineer, they can use image-based diagnostics to assess equipment, log in securely with facial recognition, even in our typical hypermobile type of working environment, very dusty, very noisy. And that's all about really having AI needed where it's sort of needed most on the front line. And again, I always like to think, assisting the user rather than becoming a barrier to the user.
Cool. So this sort of AI-ready, rugged technology, I think we could call it. We could coin that term. How does it improve and makes the worker smarter, as you said, improve their decision-making, collaboration when they're out on the field, more efficient? How do all these technologies help with that?
Yeah, so focusing on the NPU, that may be a new term for some people. Maybe, I think most people probably have heard of the CPU before. That's the traditional processor. But NPUs are purpose-built for AI. So they're super efficient at handling things like pattern recognition, speech processing, machine vision. And because we've got it on the device, you've got that AI capability at the edge. So from a field worker perspective, that translates quite often into sort of faster, more responsive AI capability, but importantly, without draining the battery. So again, we're talking about a mobile workforce. If you run that AI on the CPU, that would consume a lot of the CPU's power and would drain the battery quicker. Having the NPU, because it's designed for that sort of neural process, is very efficient. So it doesn't drain the power. And also it gives you the ability to do that without internet or cloud connectivity. So basically you end up getting very high performance, but in a very power efficient way. And I think the most important thing is, again, when we're talking about mobile workforces, that's exactly what you need, because you could be working, as some of our users quite often do, miles away from the nearest power source.
So with the MPU out in the field, being able to handle the AI workload, how can AI and real-time data analysis improve productivity out in these remote locations that our customers work?
I think, Dan, first and foremost, it's all about streamlining operations. If you can use the one big area for me that there's going to be I think a big change in the next few years is around voice. And I think AI is going to form a core part of that solution. I sometimes say to people, if you like, today we're at voice 2.0. I think we've got to get to voice 4.0. So if you like, a jump and a leap into a new world to drive efficiency, being able to understand my maybe Welsh accent compared to somebody else's Scottish accent, or a French person speaking English. Natural speech input is going to be key, and AI is going to help power that. So using voice to enter data, I think, is going to really streamline operations. Being able to access decision support tools on the spot, further collaboration with video, even in the field with AI, enhanced noise reduction, auto transcription, really driving the mobile workforce, giving them the tools to be more productive, accurate, connected. Not asking them to sort of do all of the maybe the more simple stuff, so they can focus on their job and them making a difference. That also, from a tough book perspective, plays perfectly into one of our core value propositions around connectivity. So we are optimizing the product, the 5G connectivity within, basically to stay connected for at higher speeds for longer, even in sort of fringe areas of the network. So for me, it's the big thing is about making the device or the solution more of that assistant to the worker and less of an obstacle or a barrier.
So John segued us quite nicely when he was talking about Voice 4.0 and talking about the future. Jan, how do you see, or how does Panasonic envisage AI over the next 5-10 years? What are you looking at? What do you see coming down the line?
How should I know then? I not have a crystal ball.
Make a guess. We'll never come back
But I
to it,
can
don't
make
worry.
a good guess for you, yeah. So what we're seeing is that AI agents at the moment making their way into the business, and what that is that you're giving them more access to the AI agents on your customer data. It could be CRM data, that could be data pools from your company. And then those AI agents have the ability to reach out independently and autonomously to your customers via various channels, could be even WhatsApp. And then they doing this conversations with the customers with that enriched data which they have, and bringing this to a really good and high level. And when the conversation reached a mature level, then they hand this over and convert this to human agent. That could be beneficial for areas like service agents, telephone agents, but also in-house sales, I think there we can see some efficiency boost. But what's really interesting then is that you have on the one side these AI agents with the big CRM corporations, but you also see AI chatbots, which have a strong evolution at the moment. Um, Currently, they just talking on public available information, but we see also in future AI chatbots can get enhancements that they also can reach out in a more secured environment into your customer data pools and customer information to bring the conversation on a high level, certainly in a more secured area than on public platforms. But in general, what you see by this is quite a competition there between AI agents from mature CM players with AI bots leveling up, going into this area with yeah, startup companies or more younger players in the market. So I guess that would be a nice thing to watch who will succeed there in a nice next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is a lot of AI companies, isn't there, and new ones, startups. So I guess, Margarita, how would an organization future-proof a bit? How do they make sure they're choosing the right technologies, the ones that are going to go for the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, that's a very valid and good question. So first of all, you need to start with clear goals. Yeah, so AI should solve real business problems. We have heard some great examples, yeah, mentioned by Jan with the AI agents, what they are capable of doing. But there has to be some strategy behind it, yeah, and of course, it by the end needs to be adapted, not just because it's currently the trend, but because it makes sense from business perspective. The second part of that is, of course, invest in skills. Yeah, so future readiness, of course, depends strongly on AI literacy, and that again comes back to upskilling, dedicated upskilling programs internally, and of course, all in line with the right change management approach. Then prioritize, of course, ethical and compliance, yeah, considerations. So really building transparency and fairness to gain trust, to avoid future risks in all those mentioned scenarios, and also enabling feedback loops. So collecting user input, performance data, to refine also the AI approach continuously. And last but not least, definitely staying agile. So keeping up with the fast changing tech and of course regulations, because they are also changing to, by the end, remain competitive.
Dan, I think just going back to Voice 4.0, I think that's got from a product and user experience perspective around the device, that's got massive potential. We are used to the if you like, the normal way of mobile computing today, either with a computer, a tablet, a smartphone type of experience. But I can see in the next 5 to 10 years, AI playing a really sort of core part of shaping the user experience. So Voice 4.0 is going to give us a new way of getting data into a device. So maybe it does spell the end of the keyboard or a touchscreen. Of course, we need to get data back out of the device to back into the human, so that it might sort of spur also new ways of, linking into some sort of brain communication, body type of communication, that we don't need screens and things like that. So that's the bit I find really exciting. And I think it could spur the next generation of sort of wearable devices that we just can't imagine today. But from a mobile workforce perspective, I think that could be, revolutionize somebody working in the field so they can really focus on their job that matters the most, fixing an electrical power line, saving a life, defending against an attacker. That to me is the exciting part.
Yeah, the future of input would be interesting. So it could be Panasonic branded eyeballs, I guess, couldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We're already taking body implants into humans. If that's the way, if you think that's okay, of course it's got some ethical challenges, etc., etc. But that's a potential way of managing that in the future. Yeah.
That brings us to the end of today's session. So thank you, John, Margarita, and Jan, for all the insights. We covered a lot there, from real world potential to the next 5-10 years, and how Panasonic can help be a mobility trusted partner, or a trusted mobility partner even, and go along on this journey with you over the next exciting few years that we're going to have with AI. So thanks again, and thank you so much for the speakers, and thank you for joining us.